is information. And make is music, education, fun, and everything else.
Right here on Informix, everything else. And right now we have our studio guest joining us in our studios this morning, the Deputy Minister of State for Administration at the Executive Mansion, Mr. Brownie Samukai. Good morning, welcome to Informix.
Good morning, and thank you this morning.
This is the first time you're appearing on Informix Live.
That's exactly.
But
I've been listening to your program anyway.
Okay, so what criticisms do you have about Informix?
Well, I think you're doing extremely well, and I just wish you the very best, and I hope they can support you in your efforts.
That's commendation and not criticism.
Well, I think you're doing the best you can under the circumstances.
Okay, Brownie, we want to discuss some electoral matters and electoral-related matters. Of late, you've been very vocal on the functions of the Elections Commission, and let's talk about the registration process. What are your observations, or what comments do you have about it?
Well, I think we have gone about a week or so, 10 days beyond the close of voter registration. We have about 3 more days, 2 or 3 more days to the close of the campaign, and therefore elections. We would expect the Election Commission either today or latest tomorrow to announce the number of individuals that are qualified as voters, so that at least we can know what the total number of voters are come election day, so that people can begin to do their campaign strategy. I heard that a member of the commission was saying, they are saying that, well, the voter tally is just coming in, but we can't keep waiting. We can't keep waiting for these little administrative setbacks. We need to know exactly what is the total number of figures we will be dealing with on this matter, so that at least our people and those who are involved in the political process can begin to finally strategize as to how they're going to close their campaign. And it's extremely important that we do it as quickly as possible, either today the people will get to know, or tomorrow. Because why? It's better to avoid rumor mongering by enlightening the people, or else rumor will begin to spread on the number of voters that are out there, as they are presently spreading.
You sound suspicious of the electoral process. I mean, you sound suspicious of the voters' officials.
No, it's not the question of suspicion. It's a question of timely dissemination of information as people strategize in the political process. If you don't begin to inform the people now, probably by the end of today, the issue of figures will start coming out. And people will not have to come out to start denying that those are unofficial figures. And if you walk down the street, you hear people talking about the tally of figures that they have. That the thing is, obviously, they are unofficial figures, but this creates suspicion, an unnecessary one, which has no basis. That is why it is about time today or tomorrow, latest, the Election Commission should come out and inform the public what is the total number of registered voters. People need to know. How is it possible we expect the election result to be announced within 24 hours or so, that these tallies are supposed to be coming to be announced within 24 hours thereabout, that 10 days after, we don't even know what is the total number of people that register.
So what would you contemplate should the Election Commission fail to do that?
No, I think they should get up and do what needs to be done. I believe they have figures in their possession, and whatever figures that are coming, in my best judgment, is marginal, because by now those figures would have come out of some form of communication. There's the UN in those areas in which they are registration. There's ECOMOG in those areas in which they are registering. The helicopters that I believe that are at their disposals, and even areas in which voter registration may have been extended. They have already been closed since last week.
Okay, Brownie, we're going to get back to you. This is Informix, and time check on the program is 20 minutes to 8 o'clock. At the weekend, ECOMOG Force Commander Major General Victor Malu held a press conference to address some pressing security matters with 5 days to Liberia's first multi-party presidential and legislative elections following 7 years of war in the country. The nucleus of General Malu's press conference was to clarify rumors regarding the pending polling process. He also reassured Liberians of ECOMOG's preparedness to decisively deal with any potential troublemaker during the polling exercise.
I expect the electioneering to intensify more in this last week of the race as we continue to further improve on the security situation, and no Liberian should entertain any fear or threat to security by anyone. At this point, I wish to urge all Liberians to disregard a recent reported pronouncement of threat to the ICOM chairman by one of the presidential contenders as a mere political bluff. ECOMOG views such utterances very seriously, no matter the circumstance in which they are made. we have since been reassured by the same candidate that no harm was meant. We are alert and vigilant and will deal ruthlessly with any attempt to disrupt the peace process. We are striving to ensure that the election is held in a very transparent manner, devoid of any fraud. When the elections are judged by the Liberians, the numerous teams of observers, the international community and ECOWAS, as free, fair, and transparently honest, ECOWAS will therefore go after any party leader who might lose and attempt to resort to violence.
ECOMOG Field Commander Major General Victor Malu. Brownie, do you think this warning given by the ECOMOG Field Commander is going to be taken serious by any would-be troublemakers?
Well, I think they have to take it serious. They know this force commander. He's a no-nonsense general, and he means what he says, and he says what he means. And I trust that everybody would have to take it, including myself. Everybody, no exception to the rule, from presidential aspirant down to the onlooker.
You yourself, we have a security background. How would you assess the prevailing security situation? Do you think it's conducive for us to have a free and fair election?
Definitely, without any element of doubt in my mind. I do believe everything is full, exactly as the force commander have said. We should take his word for it, have full confidence in what he has said, and I do believe everything is under control, as he stated.
I've listened to you many a times on Radio Monrovia. You've become so critical of the National Patriotic Party. Any special reason for that?
Well, it's not only the National Patriotic Party. It's all warmongers who brought death and destruction to our people. I hasten to say that people in Gardnersville and Barnesville, New Jersey, and Chicken Soup Factory should remember clearly that there were Catholic nuns who were out there providing charitable services to the community and trying to assist the people there to improve their lives. People led by the leadership of the warlords, especially the MPFL, entered that place during the October regime and butchered those sisters. You should have seen how those sisters were killed. I mean, they took stick and pushed those sticks into parts of individuals that are very horrible to even contemplate. They cut them into pieces. Those were the directions given by them, by the leadership of the organization at the time. Should we so easily forget or to forgive them when they have not even gone to apologize to the Catholic Church, to apologize to the bishop, to apologize to the people of Gardnersville and Barnesville, and they were running in Barnesville over the weekend asking for the people to support them? But I tell you what, just about a couple of days ago, I visited several communities, and I met a lot of young fellows, both men and women, whom I have known. Some I don't even know. And they told me quietly, they said, look, we are just fooling these guys. Guess what we have done? All of the T-shirts they are distributed and the hats and the umbrellas and the pin, we're collecting all and just chunking them away. I said, what do you mean? He said, look in the street, how many persons you see wearing it? There's also them. There's no new recruits. So I think the strategy they applied is going to backfire. And I think it is God that is coming down to show and reveal to our people that the red mark should not be forgotten. The red mark of destruction for 7 years, the red mark in which all of our people, on the question of whether we should deal with campaign issues. Indeed, I think we should deal with campaign issues. Issues dealing with economic policy, the integrity of individuals, the character, those are campaign issues. The character of individuals who are supposed to lead our people. The integrity they represent. Do they represent the kind of integrity we want to entrust our country leadership to them? Obviously, the answer is no.
Okay, Randy, you sound as if you are campaigning against the NPP.
No, I'm not campaigning.
Some of your critics even
right.
say that you may have some hidden political agenda. Now, every now and then you take to the airwaves and say something concerning politics. So tell me, do you actually have some?
There are, let me put it this way, there are a sizable portion of our population that don't have the means or access to disseminate information. We come from the bottom. We have seen what they have gone through. We have heard and we hear on a daily basis what they go through. They want to find a means of expressing it. Sometimes it works when the OB crew gets out. Sometimes they don't have the means. So one has to be able to understand the plight of our people and come and let the others know. And I think we all have a prime responsibility to inform and to educate our people as to what the problems are in the judgment they make, to make sure that the destiny of our country come July 19 will not fall into the wrong hands. Take, for an example, what the newspaper said this morning. In the back page says Dr. X. And let me put it this way. It said, let me ask you, if Mr. X stole $75 from you, destroy your house, burned your cassava farm, then came back offering you 5,000 Liberian dollars, one bag of cement and a bag of rice, and asked you to allow him to be your town chief, would you be satisfied? For me, my answer is clear. Not only I would not be satisfied, I would tell him no. I would tell him you, in your own best judgment, didn't realize what you were doing destroying this place. And I don't think that he is alone. I don't think the MPFL is just the only person. Take, for example, the boys within the MPFL themselves. Cassius Jacob was in the MPFL. He was a young Liberian man. He was killed upon the orders of the MPFL leadership. Hold a second. Sibo, General Sibo, he was also killed. He was on MPFL. Why should they just butcher these young fellows? These were Liberian people who were making earnest sacrifices and working for the MPFL. They were also killed. What about those sons and daughters? Look, it is not MPFL per se. It is the actions of individuals in the MPFL that seem to have given it so bad a name. And if that leadership doesn't clear itself, then of course we hold that leadership responsible.
Okay, Brownie Samukai, we're going to get back to you. This is Informix is live on ELBC FM and shortwave.
Info is information, and Mix is music, education, fun, and everything else.
All right, the time on Informix is 12 minutes to 8 o'clock. Let's do a song here. This Tuesday morning for Thomas G. Freeman, James Binder, and the Sea Is Not Forgetting My Girl, Ms. Gladys Niemer, all of this in Samuel's High School on Center Street. Today is your birthday, I guess, Miss Niemer. Today is your birthday, and this is coming to you from Patrick N. Wisner of Haile Selassie Avenue. Here's your record.
Run, but you can hide. Stop destroying this earth. There will be time. It will be too late to regret what you doing to this earth. There will be time. It will be too late to regret what you doing to this earth. If you can give a chance to see how this world is gonna be after you're gone. Into one night, all the signs are so clear. The world is getting to one night, oh, slowly but surely. Now you're going to realize you're destroying the.
And the name is Charles Quadjo Foster from his album Sissy Wosi, Children of the Future, right here on Informix, bringing the time to 10 minutes to 8 o'clock. The standard bearer of the National Patriotic Party, Mr. Charles Taylor, recently visited the lighthouse located on the compound of the Ducal Palace Hotel on Broad Street for possible reactivation. And during his visit, he said, if Chairman Henry Andrews of the Independent Elections Commission did anything to postpone the elections, only the angels will protect him. This statement did not go down too well with the Liberian people, and Mr. Taylor has apologized to Mr. Andrews in his recent press conference. Producer Adolphus Taylor has an analysis.
For me, lighting this house is like starting a new beginning in the country, and I think it would be very essential that we do it.
This was the purpose of his visit recently to the historic lighthouse on Cape Monserrato on top of the Ducal Palace Hotel. The lighthouse provided light for ships at sea entering and leaving the harbor of Monrovia. But while the lighthouse is yet to be lit, it has already produced a tremendous amount of heat when this statement was made.
I think he will do the smart thing to work overtime, double time, triple time, to make sure that on the morning of July 19, the polls, if there's anything I expect to hear from Mr. Andrews to say everybody could not go through on the 19th, so we're pushing more people through to vote on the 20th. But to say to postpone it, I it would take the angels from heaven to protect Henry Andrews.
This statement has caused a major stir in all quarters of the society, particularly the religious, when quite recently a one-week fast and prayer period was held for a Passover of any imminent danger. But was the National Patriotic Party's standard-bearer saying worth the interpretation of a real threat to Chairman Andrews' life and the entire process if elections were postponed? NPP standard-bearer Charles Taylor clarifies.
This is figuratively saying that the Liberian people are so anxious to have elections that they are not willing and or prepared to accept anything except elections.
But Force Commander General Samuel Victor Malou, in his press conference over the weekend, said he took the threat against Chairman Andrews very serious, no matter the circumstances in which it was said. Chairman Andrews, on the other hand, in an interview with the BBC recently about the alleged threat, said he did not feel threatened.
But suffice it now to say that this commission will not permit itself to be bamboozled, to be denunciated, or to be threatened.
I would never threaten Mr. Andrews. I would never be silly enough to threaten anyone in this country. But then again, how can I stop some of the wicked minds from thinking wicked things about what they feel?
Well, Brownie, you heard Mr. Taylor there saying that he will never threaten Mr. Andrews, and that how could he go about stopping wicked minds from thinking evil ways? Are you one of such wicked persons that Mr. Taylor may have in mind?
I think, first of all, the Force Commander have dealt decisively with that, and I think Mr. Henry himself has stated what he had.
Mm-hmm.
But character, again, it's going to be a major play in the decision we'll make. There are people in the markets, people that are selling in the streets. There are people who are changing money. A lot of our young brothers and sisters are selling kerosene in the streets and gasoline, and a lot of them would like to go to school. A lot of them lives over the last 7 years would have been much better if they may have not been misguided. Some of them may be carried away by the euphoria of lawlessness, but we'd like to caution them at this point in time. We think it's extremely important for them to sit, to think about where we have come from over the last 7 years and to think where we should be going. They should think that the future of our country will be decided beginning July 19. And the decision to be made will depend on all of us who have registered to go and vote on the 19th of July, whether there's rain, sunshine, or whatever comes. That will be when they will be required to soberly reflect on the legacy of the conflict, to soberly reflect on their own lives, how it could be better improved, to soberly reflect on the character of individuals, or individuals the one to steer the course of our country. It is not only the presidency that will be at stake come July 19, but there will also be positions within the legislature. Later on, I'm sure there will be by-elections for mayors and what have you. These young men and women have to take the decision to be able to go out there and vote their conscience and vote right. Our men and women that are in Raleigh Town Market, our men and women at the young fellows who they and I meet almost every other time at the Queensway Rail Light, here there intersection, and Point 4, all of these boys on Broad Street and Ronald Street whom we meet and talk and clap and shake hands. We want to let them know that July 19 will be the day they have to decide the destiny of this country. They as the young people. It will be extremely important that we all get out to go and vote on that day.
Okay, given the large number of candidates vying for the presidency, a lot of people foresee a runoff in the electoral process. Do you share the same view?
Well, that is why we're calling on the, one cannot do an analysis in a blindly when figures don't come. One must begin to see what are the figures that are out there that will be announced, hopefully by the Independent Elections Commission, to inform the voting public, the international community, and all of us who have interest come July 19, on the number of individuals that have registered and are to be voting on July 19. The sooner one can do that, the easier it will be for one to climax the political campaign. Because one needs to know in what form of strategy people need to close to be able to grab those undecided votes. Be that as it may, I think the numbers of individuals that are out there, as large as they are, I don't think it's that large enough that we can take a decision. The 7 years of our conflict alone is a major determining factor to distinguish and to narrow down the playing field from all of those who have characters, from all of those whose judgment we can respect, and individuals who we can entrust our country. So that doesn't necessarily say to us there are too many people. Just narrow down the playing field against those whose character are very much questionable, and you'll be able to take a proper decision.
Okay, Brownie, we're going to come back to you to wrap up on this program. This is the Informix.